I'm going to say a few things about my mission for the next few minutes. Save a little of my memories, I guess, on video, so that in a few years that I'll be able to look back on this, remind me of some of the things that I did on my mission. The basics. I went on my mission to Brazil, and it was in the middle of August in 1983, and I was at Camp Navarro, at girls' camp. My mother was an instructor down there, and she asked me to come down and show my eat, build a fire, have chocolate or something. And she asked me to go down and show a few things with the girls. So anyway, I was down there and called Dad from Navarro. My college had drove rather fast from Navarro to home to find my mission, find out where I'd be spending the next 18 months. And so I prepared, well, I shouldn't say this, but I prepared myself to go to any place that I was called. But I really wanted to go to a foreign mission. The idea of learning a foreign language was really exciting to me, and I was hoping for that. But I was prepared to go anywhere. So I went outside, and just by myself. I went out on the deck and sat down. I opened my call by myself, just so I could be alone for a second. And much to my surprise, then I was really happy with where I was called to. I was called to the Brazil Porto Alegre mission. It's the southernmost southernmost mission in Brazil. There's 6 missions in Brazil, and I was called there. The first thing that came into my mind was that I'd be in the same area, or the same country as Miguel. Miguel is a man that lived with us. But in his senior year in high school, he lived here in Fort Bragg with us in 1972, and he's from Porto Alegre. So anyway, that's where I got my call, and I went in and I told my mom and dad and everything, and it said on my call that I'd be learning the language in Portuguese, and I had no idea anything about Portuguese. I had no idea. I had heard that it was somewhat like Spanish, and so that's all I had to go on. In just a couple days later, I got another letter from the missionary departments telling me a number of things that I had to do in order to get a visa into the country. I had to get a number of letters of recommendations from the principal, from our bank, from the police department, from the bishop, and from a number of other people, stating that I was a good person, that I was financially secure, and things like that. And I had to send in close to 20 copies of documents, of birth certificates, of ordination certificates, of baptism, to the missionary department, which they forwarded to the Brazilian embassy in Los Angeles. So because of all this paperwork I had to do, it was 3 months before I was, my call said I'd only be going into the MTC in November, which was about 3 months away. And usually a missionary, after he gets his call, will go in 6 weeks to 2 months. But because of the extra paperwork I was waiting on it. So during that time, I continued to work here in Fort Bragg, had been working for a while, and it's kind of interesting to see people's reactions and even see my own reaction to being called to serve a mission. Honestly, I could say I had no idea before I went on my mission. There's no way of explaining to it. I had talked to my brother Steve at times, but there's no way to get the feel of what a mission really is unless you've served a mission. So anyway, people would ask me what I was going to do, and I try to give them some kind of idea, but I didn't have a very good idea myself of what I'd be doing. So it was kind of a different situation. So I was called to go into the MTC the 3rd of November, and about 2 weeks before that I went to Utah and spent 2 weeks with my brothers and bought all my clothes and supplies and that sort of stuff, the basics. And on the 3rd, which was a Thursday morning, Steve and Dave and Debbie and Jason all took me to the MTC. And it was kind of a weird day. We, they have a meeting kind of, and the MTC president talks to all the parents and friends and family that's there. And then the time comes and we go through one door and everyone else goes through the back door, and that's kind of like where it all begins. You don't know anybody. It's really a scary situation, no doubt. And so I remember there was these huge lines, and we'd have to pay for the MTC, and we'd have to pay for books and supplies. And I was all by myself. I was groups of, large groups of people, but I was all by myself, and I didn't know anybody. And didn't know anything. All I had was this little card that said my room number on it and the name of my companion that I had in the MTC, but I didn't know where he was at all, because I didn't know what he looked like or anything. So anyway, I remember I went through all the details of getting in the MTC, and I went up to my room, and I think I was the first one there, and I left my suitcase, and I was just waiting for a while there, and another guy comes up, and it turns out it's my companion. My companion's name was Elder Beatty. He was from New Mexico, from Albuquerque, and he was different. Let's just put it that way. He was 26 when he went in the MTC, and I was 19. He had already graduated. I think he already had a master's degree in electrical engineering. And I was just a little kid, and I probably still am, but I was just a little kid, and he was a man, and it was different. He had a lot more experience with learning and studying and things like that. But anyway, we didn't have any major conflicts. We got along all right, and he was my companion for the 2 months I was in the MTC. The MTC is really it's really well done, I'd say, really well done. It was amazing how much of a language we could pick up in 2 months, and we weren't even studying the language the whole day. For instance, I went through a couple of days speaking no English, and that was while I was still in the MTC. I wouldn't say that was because of my abilities, but it was the ability that the teachers had to teach, and also the program, the method of teaching was really excellent. It's really excellent. They taught you the basics. They didn't go into big deals on grammar and things like that you're really not going to need as much as just the basic stuff on how to converse and how to understand. They figured that you work on the grammar while you're in the field, while you're actually into the language. You know, you're speaking it full time. So in the MTC, our daily schedule was, we got up about 6 and we went and ate breakfast, and then we had some study time, and then about 8 or 8:30, I think, we went to classes, and we'd be at classes all morning. And my morning teacher was named Elder Costa, and he was a Brazilian. I think he was from Brasilia, maybe even, I'm not sure. And he was really a really nice guy. He served his mission in Portugal, and he spoke really good English, and he did a good job. He spoke, well, let me go back a little bit. I remember on the first day we went to, we were in the MTC that first night. You know, we didn't know anybody, and we went to class about 7:30, it seemed like, after some orientation meetings and stuff like that. And the teacher came in. His name was Elder Kelm. He was the head instructor for the Portuguese department, and he came in and he didn't speak one word in English to us for about an hour and a half. He spoke, just rattled off in Portuguese, and which just blew us all away. We were going, he didn't speak any English. You know, I thought that maybe he had, you know, he wasn't. They were never going to speak in English in the classes. And I remember he'd point to like the window and say janela, or he'd point to the door and say porta, or he'd point to the floor and go o chão. And so we'd pick things up like that, and we'd pick things up, and then he'd write something on the board and you know, in English so we could understand. But he wouldn't, you know, he would never say the word. And then, you know, he'd get us to say where we were from. Eu sou de Fort Bragg, and Eliege, Salt Lake City, this sort of thing. And we'd go along and along, and it was really interesting the way they did it. You know, it was amazing that how much we could actually pick up in an hour and a half using that system. And it was funny because when I first got there, he read my name tag, and he goes, Elder Benizel, é seu nome? And I go, what? And because Bernhisel, if you read it like a Brazilian would read, Brnhisel, they read it Benizel or something like that. So he read it, and I remember just going, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And so it was confusing and interesting and learning and all this sort of stuff wrapped up together. So we survived the night, and you know, we got to know some of the people in our district. And in my district in the MTC, there was 8 other elders, and let's see if I can remember their names. There was Elder Patterson, there was Elder Smith, Elder Sherry, Elder Scabland, Elder Manning, Elder Beatty, Elder White, Elder Decker, and myself. And that was our district, and you know, there was 9 of us in all. And when we got there was 4 missionaries going to, no, there were 6 missionaries scheduled to leave for Portugal, and 4 of them left the next week, and 2 more of them left a month later. So myself and Elder White and Elder Beatty, my companion, we were the only ones in the MTC that first week who were going to Brazil. We were the only ones because they'd had a lot of visa problems. And in fact, later we learned out that the 3 of us were the first group in like 5 years to go to Brazil directly. without having to wait in Chicago or New York or Houston or something, and without going directly from the MTC into Brazil. So I remember how excited